Good morning. I am Reverend Robert Ugen Doshin Yamada here at the Animal Liberation Temple, the Butsukayoji, where we are at the service of the spiritual and physical liberation of our dear animal friends. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and seized land of the Yukuts, Karkin, Confederate villages of Linchan, Olani, Miwok, and the Mawikma people. We recognize them, the legacy of violence, settlement, and displacement of these people who suffered and survived. I would also like to dedicate today's service to Toshi the tortoise, Daniela the red hen, and Frankie the pigeon, who have passed away since we last went live. I want to thank everybody who decided to tune in live this morning. Good morning, Jackie, and good morning, Neil. Um, it looks like I can only see the folks who actually are chatting. It's so nice to see folks rejoining us for our Sunday services. Apologize for the late start. Just all this, trying to go live on YouTube now. A lot of things are different. It has been pouring rain here, and the temple is leaking water, so everything is wet, and I've been trying to keep all the equipment dry and so forth. But we'll continue with the temple updates. Last time we went live was November 16th, 2025, and we have been experiencing many financial difficulties. We're unable at this time to finish our temple's roof, and we will be definitely losing our truck soon and will not be able to bring up food and water and supplies for the animals. My current plan is just to walk things up and down the hill. Typically, we can bring up 300 gallons of water in the truck, and to do this 3 times about every 3 weeks. So we'll now need to carry 5 gallons at a time by walking it uphill, and bring 50-pound bags of food one at a time by also walking these up. It's about a half a mile up the hill in the mud right now. So that is one of the some of the updates going on here. Still working really hard to get things kind of back in order. But let us. Oh, the sound sounds low. Let me see if I can turn that up. Okay, so I turned it up as much as it'll go. Hopefully that's better. Let me know if it's not. Maybe drop the mic down a little bit. Let's do our updates on all of our residents here. Of course, we have our 4 duck friends, Breve, Greve, Amanda, and Renee, all doing really well. Our dogs, of course, Lucy and Bernard. Our goats who are down the hill, Rob, Matt, and Phil. Our tortoises, Miyachi and Tommy, who are inside the temple right now trying to stay dry. Our turkey friends, Priya and Harriet, are doing really well. And then we have our Cornish chickens, who are Jax, Jimmy, Edward, Poppy, Aster, Ivy, Azalea, Peony, Cynthia, Lotus, Magnolia, Sage, Marigold, Camilla, Hydrangea, Holly, and Zinnia. And then, of course, we have our red hens, who are Glennis, Gwen, and Alice. And then our roosters, Sabrina May, Hard One, Elton, Magnus, George, Brad, and Kudu. Our guinea fowl friend, Wendy. The mourning dove in the house, Sequoia. Our rat friend, Hasu. And then our 38 pigeons, FP, Champagne, Tulin, Sasha, Yo-Yo, Petey, Ricky, Spreckles, Spencer, Shambles, Beluga, Beth, Pee-wee, Cascade, Augustus, Rufus, Harper, Elliot, Snickers, Bulba, Kismet, Farah, Angus, Pandora, Jones, Sin, Harriet, Lago, Fred, Chamanto, Halo, Vin, Capone, Percy, Pacino, Lacey, Sasha, the second, and Dora. And then we have our 4 foster ducks, as well as we have 2 foster chickens currently. Oh, good. I'm glad that we fixed the sound. And then, let me know if it's also too loud or if it's pinging. I'll go back and look at this live stream and check the volume again. Um, so thank you for checking in with me, Neil, about the sound. Wheelbarrows would be really nice, but again, it's uphill, and very muddy and a lot of like dips. And I think the wheelbarrow will probably make the job harder, not easier. I think the easiest way is to just physically carry all these things up the hill for now. But those are all our updates on our 84 residents here at the Animal Liberation Temple. Um, my book has gotten wet because I kind of have everything set up early this morning to make sure I can go live on time. And then it poured rain, and then the temple's roof is not done. So everything got wet, and I had to dry things off and try to get everything up and going again. But let us start. We'll now recite all the prayers and sutras and vows to our dear animal friends. As a reminder, these are prayers are great auspicious benefit to all who hear these prayers. We ask that you have your companion animals nearby or in a place where our wild animal friends can hear these prayers intended for them, even our dear insect friends. So we'll start with the Great Heart of Wisdom Sutra recited in Japanese, starting on page 4 of the Animal Liberation Temple prayer book. Sorry, a little bit loud. Maka hanya haramita shengyo kanji zai bosatsu gyojin hanya haramita jiso kengo onkai kudo isai kuyaku sharishi shiki fuku kufui Shiki shiki zoku ze koku zoku ze shiki ju sogyo shiki yaku bunyo ze shari shi ze shohoku so fu sho fu metsu fuku fujo fuzo fugen ze koku tru mu shiki muju sogyo shiki mugen ni bi zetsu ni もしき証拠未速報無限界内し無意識界無無明薬無無明人内し無老し薬無老し人無苦種滅度無知薬無得意無所特攻膨大さ大般若波羅蜜多高深無形下無形下公無苦分類優勢天道数苦行涅槃三世小仏へ般若波羅蜜多高徳はのくだら三百三菩提高知般若波羅蜜多絶大真宗絶大名手絶無常手絶无错道是那道一切苦心実不可可絶恨やはらみた種族絶種圧ギャテギャテはらギャテはらそギャテおじそわかはんやしんぎょう願わくはこのどこもってあまねく一切に及ぼし、 Warida Toshida Tomina Tomono Butsudo Animal Liberation Josen Koto Jiho Sanshi Foshi Son Bosa Foshi Son Bosa Mokosa Moko Hoja Horo Mi. We'll now recite the refuge prayer in Tibetan and then in English, page 8 of the Animal Liberation Temple Prayer Book. Sangye chodam toki chonam na janju paduk tekni gyapsu che daki jinso gyepe sonam gye drola penjer sangye jupar sho. The Buddha, Dharma, and excellent assembly of the Sangha, until I attain enlightenment in these I take refuge. By my practice of the six perfections, may all sentient beings attain the state of Buddhahood. We now recite the four great Bodhisattva vows, Shigi Segan. Yojo Muhen Segando Bono Mujien Segandan Omon Muryo Seganga Wotado Mujo Seganjo. However numerous sentient beings, I vow to enlighten them all. However inexhaustible my delusions, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the dharmas, I vow to master them all. However endlessly enlightened way, I vow to follow it fully. We now recite the six vows to our dear animal friends, page 10. However numerous my dear animal friends, I vow to liberate them all. However diverse the methods of animal liberation, I vow to support them all. However unheard their voices, I vow to speak out for them all. However painful and inexhaustible the method of suffering, I vow to bear witness to them all. However infinite the cages and tanks, I vow to empty them all. However difficult animal liberation, I vow to achieve it completely. And we now recite the Vajrasattva Purification Mantra, page 11. Om Vajrasattva Maya Nopalaya Vajrasattva Te Nopachisa Trito Me Bhava Sito Sho Me Bhava Supa Sho Me Bhava Anorato Me Bhava Sava Sito Me Prayasya Sava Karma Sito Me Tichim Shriyam Guru Hom Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sava Tata Gata Vajrama Me Mucha Vajri Bhava Mahasamamya Safaha. The bell sound is not being there. That is really weird. You're right about it might being a setting. Yeah. Okay, my voice might sound different now because I had to turn off an equalizer to see if reason why my bell's not working. Yes, I do see that the bell is not working at all. I don't know what that is. I will look into that. Thanks for bringing your attention to that, Neil. I really appreciate that. Yeah, there might be a setting like in Zoom that it's so weird that it doesn't let me have bell sounds. Um, I will work on it and we'll see if I can get that to work by next week. Um, but this Sunday's talk, um, I wanted us to rethinking our needs of self and others. Um, and it came up because was thinking a lot this week about our dear rat friends and um, knowing that a lot of folks in in the city um, and folks who might be experiencing houselessness, um, folks who um, might be having a lot of rat folks around and being concerned about being bit by a rat or disease, things like this. And so when we talk about rethinking our needs of self and others, um, is thinking about like our own personal needs. And so maybe in the situation with our rat friends, the need to want to be safe and free of disease and free of the pain that it might take from being bit by a rat. We might think about um, our children who might get bit by rats. And I think it's too easy to just say like, oh well, quarantine your house off, make sure rats can't get in. I think if you can do that, that's great, but that's not always the case. Sometimes that's you don't have that ability. Sometimes if you're experiencing houselessness at the moment, you can't do that either. And so what we have is a conflict. Um, and what I mentioned just now was all in this situation. We're talking about our needs only. We haven't even discussed what the rat's needs might be. And when we're talking about our own needs, we're talking about it um, from fear based. I'm afraid of getting a disease. I'm afraid of the pain that it causes of a rat bite. I am afraid of, um, my friends or families or children, you know, um, being bit by rats. And all of those are valid reasons to have conflict. And I want folks to realize that those are fear based conflicts and not compassion based conflicts. And to think about this as a how to think about this as a compassion based conflict is to maybe first consider the needs of others first. Um, Consider the needs of our rat friends. They have the need for companionship. So rats have families and they have friends. Rats have need for food and water and shelter. And all of these things often they find around and near humans. Um, and we have to realize that with this particular conflict, what is the rats' conflict that they're having is that, you know, for millennia, rats have existed and have predate humans by uh, tens of thousands, if not millions of years. Rats have been around longer than humans. The rat population may have increased a lot due to the relationship that rats have with humans. So one of the in this conflict, we have to realize that as human beings, we kind of have caused uh, more rats to need um, housing and companionship and water and food, um, and that they're kind of coming to us for these things. Um, so when we start rethinking our needs, we want to think about what are the rats' needs and how are we already meeting those needs. And now we have this conflict of um, the conflict starts to become we have shared spaces and how can we share spaces? How can we protect ourselves? Um, and in this particular situation, I don't actually have the answers for. I don't think a lot about disease, although I'm concerned. I don't think a lot about being bit by rats because I've been bit by a rat and it's okay. It hurts for a little bit and then it kind of goes away. I've but when I start thinking about these things and I start rethinking about them, I start starting to think about okay, what are my actual needs and how serious are my needs versus the needs of the rats. My rat friends, a lot of times they don't have a choice of where to live. A lot of times they don't have a choice of where to find their food and where to get water. They're going to go where they feel the most safe, of course. And so recognizing that those are their needs, and then look at what my needs are. My needs are maybe I don't like being bit. But I think the few times that I have been bit, it's not that bad. I know a dear friend of mine was bit by a rat, and we were concerned because this was a wild rat and kind of living in a place that wasn't extremely clean. And we went to the urgent care and spoke to doctors, and the doctors said, really, there's not much to worry about. Do you have a tetanus shot? And if not, maybe you should get a tetanus shot, and you'll be fine. And keep a close eye on it. So like this idea that like rats are going to infest us and pass this horrible disease on isn't something even doctors are concerned about. So it makes us wonder like why are we as human beings so concerned about it? And is there, a lot of propaganda around, what and who rats are? And is that what's causing it? Um, what's going on? Um, Cutting in and out about every third or fourth word is chopped off, interrupted. Not sure if it's your internet service or on my end. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. Thanks for letting us know. I believe that is April. So thank you for joining us, April, and thank you for letting me know that it's being choppy. I am noticing that I got a ton of drop frames. It's telling me that. I'm gonna try to lower the um, quality of the live stream next time. I'm at 4K right now, and I realize probably nobody is watching at 4K. So I'll try to drop it down to 1080 for next week and see if that helps a little bit. I can't actually change it in the middle of the stream, so I'm sorry about that. Like as I was saying though about our rat friends, is disease and being bit, is sharing a space with rats really all that horrible? They leave kind of a mess. They might leave some feces about, and it's not that difficult to pick that. those up. It's not that difficult to clean, so I don't see that as an issue. I think about, from my own personal experience, like, there's rat poop and pee around, and I got to just ensure that those things are not available for the rats. But also ensuring that everything else is available to them, making sure that water is available to them, making sure there is food available to them, make sure that there is shelter available to them. And then we can start to think about how our needs can be both met, how we can actually coexist. And this is really important, and this is what I mean by resolving our conflicts from a compassion-based place. How can our all of our needs get met, and recognize that rats also have their own intrinsic needs? I often have heard this idea of like rats bite and it hurts, and sleeping, people are sleeping, and they're woken up by rat bites, and it's terrible. Um, and I don't doubt that happens, and I'm sure it does to people. But is that the fear based conflict that we really want to have? I can say with confidence, I've lived up here at this temple for more than 4 years now. Um, we have always had rats, and I have never been bitten once by one of the wild rats. I have been bitten by Hasu and Yamabushi, um, and that's okay. They're kind of friendly bites, and they were just you know seeing how I taste, kind of how they communicate. But the wild rats, I've never been bitten by a wild rat. And we have quite a few up here. We have a lot. So it really makes me think about, like, is that a fear-based conflict that folks are having? And how can we make it a compassion based? And like, how can we recognize that actually rat bites, A, are not that painful, and B, not that um, A, not that painful, B, may not actually carry any serious diseases. Obviously, I think people should check with your local doctors, and maybe even a local veterinarian, and get some advice, and get multiple um, sources of this, because some people will have biases towards rats, but like really kind of do your research and find out, um, in your area, what kind of actual threats do rats have, because I think a lot of us would be surprised to find out that the threat isn't as big as we make it out to be in our heads. We have grown up on stories about the Black Plague, and the reality is that the Black Plague, although became a zoonotic disease and was possibly help was transmitted with help from our rat friends, that the majority of the time the plague was transmitted, it was human to human transmission. That was where the problem lied, and it spread across Europe and devastated human lives, but because of human to human transmission, and not necessarily rat to human transmission, wasn't nearly as high as we had. We're told, or we think that it is, that the only people that got the plague were people who were bitten by rats, and that just isn't true at all. And so I think, looking into things like that, exposing the myths of our dear animal friends, especially some of them that we might look down upon. Specifically, I think about my rat friends. I think about my mice friends. I think about my insect friends. How we think that they're so, you know, beneath us or lower than us, and in all reality, they are equal in the ways that matter. They are equal in their ability to show love, care, and compassion. Um, and they are equal in their ability to experience suffering. And so, for that reason, we need to approach solving conflicts with our rat friends and all of our non-human animal friends, compassion based, and thinking not only of our own needs, but the needs of others. And when we think about both needs and try to resolve conflicts that way, and remove the fear and recognize where there's something that we are afraid of, and then investigate that fear until we can dissipate it. So that's my talk for today. Um, I will, continue to work on this live stream to make it a little bit better. I'm sorry that it may be um, kind of choppy and so forth. Using phone and TV here both are choppy. Yeah, I'm really sorry, Jackie. Let us recite the animal liberation prayer. I'll be using the bell, but I understand that you won't be able to hear it. So I apologize for that in advance, and I'll be working towards trying to get the bell to come out through the sound. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who are subject to unbearable pain in labs throughout the world, be free of all suffering. May alternatives to animal experimentation, vivisection, and dissection be implemented immediately. May bodhicitta, the quality of compassion that leads to enlightenment, fill the hearts of those who imprison them. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who suffer endless days, months, and years, locked in tiny cages unable to move, be filled with peace and calm. May all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends who are forcibly taken from their families, be reunited, and may all families be able to stay together. May the hearts of those who work in slaughterhouses, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends be filled with bodhicitta, so the very thought of harm is purified. May they never kill again, and may the slaughterhouse lines, factory farms, and all industries that exploit our dear animal friends become immediately empty. May no animal be afraid or depressed. May their bodies be free of injuries, disease, and illness. May the mutilation of their bodies be forever ceased. May those who need homes or have been driven from them find shelter, plentiful food, and water. May those may there be liberation for those tortured for fur, entertainment, or are hunted. May those who believe that they are superior to our brother and sister animals develop perfect equanimity, and may they realize in their hearts that all sentient beings possess Buddha nature, the potential to be completely free of suffering, and that they are not ours to kill or exploit. May the billions of land and sea dwelling sentient beings who are abused, exploited, and killed due to greed, hatred, and ignorance be free of suffering. May all the nets, hooks, blades, projectiles, traps, snares, cages, pens, tanks, lethal restraints, saddles, reins, prods, bait, poison, and all instruments used to harm, exploit, and dominate our dear animal friends be forever abolished. May all human and non human sentient beings live together in harmony, peace, equanimity, and achieve perfect enlightenment quickly. May we all experience happiness, safety, freedom, and animal liberation in this very lifetime. We now recite the dedication of merit to our dear animal friends. Throughout our many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue we have accomplished, including this aspiration for peace, and all that we will ever attain, this we offer for the benefit of all sentient beings, especially our dear animal friends. May suffering, exploitation, and unnecessary death be decreased for every being, while wisdom, bliss, and compassion increase in this and every future life. May we clearly and instantly perceive the plight of our dear animal friends with the urgency and seriousness they deserve, and our every action leads them to complete liberation. May we quickly attain enlightenment and work ceaselessly for liberation of all sentient beings. Okay, so I was donated a camera that I'm going to see if it will work on a sanctuary tour. So give me a second. Let's see if I can get that. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Neil, for commenting that don't have any sound. So I will work on trying to get sound to work. But it's really good to hear that the camera is working well, very sharp and clear. I really appreciate that. Um, Switch back over so people can see me. Um, Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on our Sunday services, first one of the new year. Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in live. And I'm going to roll our credits reel, which is a little bit longer this week, as is the credits reel from the last month. I want to thank to all the wonderful folks who have contributed to our hopefully that wasn't too distracting, but there's so many sounds going on. Thank you to all the wonderful folks who contributed to our Dear Animal residence of the Animal Liberation Temple, the 16th of November through the 3rd of January. And thank you to everyone who's been liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to our social media. Our Venmo donors, Clara Sodenson, Remy Marine X, Amira Tanner, Ariel Ryan, Rachel Hostler, Alana Budak, Vanessa Ka, Henry Rose, and Tani Salazar. Thank you. And then our PayPal donors, Conrad De Jesus, Shannon Hunter, the Peaceful Kingdom Alliance for the Animals, Lama Tashinima, Ramin Haroni, Colleen Simmons, Joshua Markson, Cassie King, Teresa Coraton, Andrew Sisk, Tamara Bahi, the Universal Compassion Buddhist Congregation, Rocky Chow, Cheryl Koski, and Ryan Pickett. And then, of course, our Patreon supporters who continue to support us monthly, Susan Fryman, Neil Carmen, Palomina Bradford, Paula Partenheimer, and our new Tier 2 supporter, Shannon Hunter. Thank you so much. And please consider a donation through any of our platforms. We can be found in the Linktree Animal Liberation Temple. All our links should also be in this video's descriptions. Checks can be mailed to the Animal Liberation Temple. And we are a 501c3, and all donations are tax deductible here in the US. So I recognize I think nobody is watching right now in the US, maybe April still. But thank you all for joining our services for our dear animal friends, and everybody have a beautiful week, and thanks so much.